All right, well, it's a pleasure to be here with you all this morning, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Carolyn from Tailored Brands, and I'll allow you to, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about, the brands that you oversee, and we'll kick it off.
Okay, is this on? Yeah, okay. I'm going to adjust slightly. So
yeah, of course.
Hi, everybody. So I'm Carolyn Pollock. I'm the CMO at Tailored Brands. I've been in the role for almost exactly 4 years. And within our portfolio, we're largely menswear specialty retail. So Men's Warehouse is our best known banner. We also have Joseph Bank and K&G, which is largely in the south and a little bit in the northeast. K&G is a little different in that we also sell women's and children's clothing, but it's largely still menswear. And then in Canada, we have Moore's, which is very similar to Men's Warehouse in style. So it's neat because we've got this really great portfolio of brands that are all at kind of different stages of brand health life cycle and all that, and different stages of sort of install customer base and loyalty and all that. So it's really fun for the team that we're able to kind of work across this portfolio of brands and have them learn from one another as well.
Sorry, when I see you with a microphone, I'm wondering, where's my microphone? That's wonderful. I think these are all truly classical brands, and I'd love to hear from you a little bit about, maybe we can kick it off about how the pandemic changed things for Tailored Brands and, the individual brands. And
yeah, I mean, like everybody had their different stories of COVID. We were sort of like on the bad end of COVID in terms of, suddenly no one's going to the office, no one's getting married, all the moments that we serve our customers for were no longer happening. And, as best as we tried to like go into sort of athleisure and that kind of thing, it just wasn't, we're not known for that. So that it was tough, and you learn a lot when you're going through adversity as well. And we learned a lot about how to be really scrappy. I remember telling the team when our stores were closed. I was literally 6 weeks into my job when we started closing our stores, and I'm like, okay, so now we're an e-commerce company. When previously maybe 8% of our revenue was going through e-commerce, so it was a huge shift for everybody to start thinking about like how do you operate in this different world. Fortunately, everything ended. People started getting back together, and as they did, they wanted to dress it up a little bit. They were tired of wearing sweatpants and, sort of Zoom t-shirts and sweatshirts and all that, and they wanted to get out, connect with people, show that they cared about those interactions by, upping their game a little in their dress, and everybody started getting married. So 2022 is what was kind of unofficially dubbed as the year of the wedding, which was amazing for all of us at Men's Warehouse and other brands, and it was incredible. So it was sort of like we went from like really tough to incredible, and again like learning on that journey of like how to still be smart with our dollars and how to continue to build the right kind of relationships with our customers and understanding like what do they know us for and what are we serving them best for. And now that we're kind of getting back to normalcy, it's actually wonderful because in retail, it's all about your comp and what you're comparing to. And we had, literally even last year, we were looking at 2019 as our year of normal to compare against. So this year we're thrilled because we finally have a year that is normal, which was last year, that we can compare against. So we're learning a lot now about like how do we kind of take what we did and better serve our customers in a more efficient way through all of our different channels.
And we're going to get into that actually a little bit more about how what it really did for you, in terms of pulling forward, the e-commerce side of the business and how now you truly are an omni-channel business. Before we do so, I'd like to talk about your, I think one of the things that we most know, certainly Men's Warehouse for, which is you're going to love the way that you look. And if you could maybe talk a little bit about, obviously that took, I think it was even more relevant, I think, in a moment of, crisis during the pandemic. And maybe you can talk a little bit about how it goes from, what has that done for you in terms of, and how are you evolving the meaning of that, what it means for the brand and what it means to your customers?
Well, it was interesting too because the line that Men's Warehouse is known for that was, repeated over and over again across like tens and tens of millions of dollars over many, many years. So it's surprising how ingrained the line is in people's heads. It's actually, you're gonna like the way you look, I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Well, but then we built on that. So we were not gonna have, you know, the guys like, I guarantee it, and sort of almost this like used car salesman approach to things anymore. And you know, we wanted to figure out how do you build an emotional connection with people, and how do you do that in a year, which was 22, when everybody's getting back together and everyone's celebrating being together and getting married and all that. And so we kind of took it was almost like a little jujitsu of like, rather than kind of trying to fight our past, take the parts of the past that were actually well known and, you know, quite liked. You know, it wasn't like it was a negative necessarily for us, but turn it into something that's a little bit more relevant for today. And so that's how we changed it into Love the Way You Look, and that we tapped into the word love because of all that that means with weddings. But then really like what that means for, you know, if you love how you look, then you feel much better about yourself, and therefore you're more empowered to go out and do more things. So we're actually launching an evolution of the campaign in mid-March, and it's kind of building on exactly that insight around like, once you like the way you look, then you're gonna love the way you look, then you're gonna feel great, and you can go out and feel like you can almost do anything. So we're gonna be experimenting with humor, and which we've never done as a brand, and really kind of tapping into that idea that if you're feeling great, you can go out and do almost anything. So yeah, it'll be fun.
That's fantastic. It really is. You know, that's obviously incredibly tied to, you know, well, our wellness, our mental wellness. It really is, and our self-confidence. It's remarkable what a difference it makes, right? And you know, maybe you can, you know, tell us a little bit about how is it, you know, that you go from, you know, focusing on the big moments to really making, you know, becoming, you know, more relevant in, you know, people's everyday, you know, life, because there's quite a gap, as we had discussed, you know, between, you know, let's say prom and, you know, the day that you get married, right? So maybe you can tell us a little bit about, you know, how are you evolving, you know, what the brand means to customers, and as well as, you know, how are you meeting that that need?
Yeah. Well, so just a little like data on Men's Warehouse too as a brand. It's funny because I don't think I've worked on a brand where the category is better known, like a specific product within the category is better known than the category for your brand awareness. So if you ask somebody what's a retailer in menswear, you know, we have great awareness, but unaided, it's good. But when you ask them who's a retailer that sells suits, we're like crushing it comparatively. And so it's like we're better known for suits than we are for menswear overall. And that's amazing in a moment when everybody's getting married and everyone's buying a suit because they've changed sizes 3 times during the pandemic and all that. But in the normal days, you know, not everybody, like there's nobody here wearing a full suit. I think I see a few folks wearing jackets and that, but like it's not how we dress anymore. And so as we look to expand our brand relevance, it's much more about making sure that if you've come to us and trusted us for the most important moment of your life, which is your wedding, and we made you feel great and you had an amazing time, then why won't you come to us for the everyday moments as well? So come to us for the date night, come to us for an interview, a presentation. So all those other moments where you kind of want to show who you're with, that you actually care enough to dress up a little bit and put on something a little better, that we can serve you for those moments too. And this is the first year, I would say, that we've really rounded out our sportswear assortment to the degree that I think we can really back that up in a great way. We've got an incredible amount of new product launching that I think helps with that too. And it makes the marketing that much easier because now we've got all these stories that we can tell about products that we're offering that have all kinds of great features and comfort and all of that, you know, in the past it was really just suits. And now we can do a lot more to show how we serve them in those everyday moments.
I love it. It's great. You know, my next question is, okay, so, you know, how do you, I'd like to go back to the pandemic, which obviously forced you to, you know, become, for the short period of time, you know, e-commerce first, and put offline, you know, on ice for a moment. How has the experience, the consumer experience changed? You know, now in a more omni-channel focused world for you, what does that mean for, you know, what does it mean for guys?
Yeah, and we still work in a category that as huge as e-commerce is in apparel, especially our customers, and they want to come into our stores. And our stores, there's like a huge competitive advantage for us that we have this footprint of, for Men's Warehouse, almost 640 stores across the country, and that we are, very close to almost any urban center, so that if you want something, you can come in, you can get fitted properly by an expert. They can get you your measurements. You can get adjustments made to the coat or pant or whatever that you need done. But what we find is that every single person who walks into our store has been to our website first. It's tough for the web team because their conversion sucks because they get a lot of traffic that doesn't actually convert, but it does when they come to the store. And the site has this really important role in serving as the research vehicle for our customer, gets them more educated on what we have, so when they come in the door, they're a little bit more directed in what they're looking for. And they kind of, the two sort of work together, because then our consultants actually have an iPad going the whole time, and they're referencing stuff on the website. They're helping show outfits and building outfits with the customer on that iPad. So it's a very seamless sort of experience now than what we had before, for sure.
Yeah, I can see that truly being a competitive advantage. Certainly, in the tailored suit space, it's about getting tailored, and certainly in that category of the business. Now, you've done some really developed some really interesting digital partnerships. And also have implemented interesting technology. You've developed a wingman. Tell us about that, what that's done for that experience.
Yeah, and actually we just had a launch today where we added thousands of new sort of outfit recommendations, but the Wedding Wingman is a tool where you can come in and we start asking you some questions. So it's much like all of our consultants in our stores are trained to essentially interview the customer when they come in, what's your event, when is your event happening, what time of day is it, what style is it, what color palette are you working with, the whole gamut, to just make sure that they winnow down our huge assortment into what the right recommendations are for that customer. So we wanted to mimic that in the digital world and provide that same experience for our website. So we created this online tool called the Wedding Wingman, and it's not an app, it's just a mobile web experience, and it basically asks the customer through a series of visuals as well, about their wedding style and about, their preferences and all of that, and at the end of it comes out with a bunch of different recommendations of product they can either buy, product they can rent, or even gives recommendations on how they can customize what they've got. So it, again, helps winnow down the navigation opportunity on the site, but what it really does is it speeds up the experience in the store and brings in a much more informed customer and really aids the selling process for our consultants.
Let's talk about a little bit, we were, our friends here who are on stage, Snapchat. Tell us a little bit about that partnership, and what it did for the experience, the shopping experience.
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, we have a really big prom business, and as we try to find different ways to continue to connect with our prom customer, we had been doing the filters on Snap, and it had been super fun, and it gave people a chance to kind of put themselves in one of the outfits virtually and all that, but we were trying to then think about something kind of more breakthrough and different that we could do. And I'd seen some stuff in Europe where they're using mirrors and you can actually walk by a mirror and see what you look like in a certain outfit. And so we started talking to Snap about this, and they built out a technology that we were one of the first, I think, right? I think Nike might have been right before us, but we were sort of hot on the heels of that. And we were definitely the first that did a head to toe kind of full body look. So we ended up putting a mirror in one of our stores in New Jersey, which is one of our big volume prom stores. And it was the coolest thing because you walk by the mirror and it would grab your attention because all of a sudden your head would turn into an avatar. And then you'd stop and it would give you these options of product to try on. You could try on a tuxedo or a dinner jacket or a suit. You'd push the thing and then you'd literally stand in front of your entire outfit and it would move with you and everything. So it was amazing. And it was sort of early days of the tech, but I think it was fantastic. And, we're still eager to figure out ways to scale that across our fleet and do something fun with it. But in the meantime, we continue to invest really heavily in social media for the prom audience. And I think the role that Snap plays with the filters and all that is still super valuable to us because it just gets the customer one step closer to understanding what it would be like for them to have the product.
Very cool. I'd maybe love to talk a little bit about, you have, different brands, and how is it that you, create brand loyalty? Maybe you can, tell us a little bit about, how you think about, the funnel, how you think about, winning, creating awareness to bringing the customers in. Can you walk us through that, what that funnel or funnels look like, for your brands?
Well, and I'm sure everybody's thinking about this all the time now, but we have a mixed model that we've been running now for about a year and a half. We've done a bunch of match market incrementality tests, and every single time it validates that like spending in the upper funnel channels not only drives better awareness, it drives more traffic to our stores, it makes our digital channels more effective. Like it's sort of the grease that gets the wheels going, and yet there's still always been this reticence of like, ooh, we don't want to spend too much on brand because it doesn't return right away and all that. But like I think now we're getting a lot more line of sight into how that actually does return. So we have a really balanced mix, and we leverage TV, still linear TV, skewing obviously more and more to live sports, but we still do some linear TV. We do a lot of connected and online video. And then YouTube is a big part of it too. But then even within YouTube, we're running like full funnel type of media. And then we kind of have the same playbook across social media, even display. And then, we really make sure that we've got, anytime we're putting more into our upper funnel, we make sure we've got a ton more in search as well, because we find that if we can then catch the demand that we're creating with the right search presence, then that makes a big difference. So we kind of do all that, get people there. It's all about driving traffic to our stores. And then once we get people in the store, I think with respect to loyalty, I think it's really for us, like, what's a valuable loyalty program for our brands is really more about the experience that they're having with that expert in the store. And when you talk to customers about, their experience with Men's Warehouse, almost always it comes back to, oh, well, Frank in the San Francisco store really helped me out with this. And, and they think of that relationship more than they think about the brand overall. And so finding ways to make sure that we can bottle that and scale that for our consultants to be able to continue to build those one-to-one relationships, or even just the relationship of the store to the customer, I think is our big unlock for loyalty.
That's incredible, right? I mean, it really is those folks really at the on the front, so to say. Really, once you get them in, they are your brand, right? It's an important touch point for the brand. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about how you think about in this day and age. We talk about AI, and I think it's pretty interesting the way that you've approached it, which is we're not just going to wait and see. You have a different approach. Tell us what you are doing. I'd love to hear what is AI playing for you in your marketing efforts, one, and then number two, what is it doing for your, the business, maybe also the operations, but also for the consumer, experience.
Yeah, and I mean, I would say we're definitely still the early stages of actually putting stuff into practice. There are lots who are further ahead than us at it, but I think we've done a lot of good work on really getting to understand what's out there and how it's evolving and the direction it's going, and it's helped us really shape like where we want to place some bets initially, as well as like how we are thinking about things down the road. So, we've been fortunate to be able to talk to a lot of the key players in the space and get sort of hear directly from them what their roadmaps are looking like and how they're seeing it evolve and grow. What's also interesting, though, you talk to them and you ask them about something further out, and they're like, yeah, we don't really know. Like, there's a lot of unknown out there still. So, right. So we're all figuring it out. But we've implemented a few things like practical in the near term, like things like product descriptions for websites, and how do we take our e-commerce photos that when we shoot product, we have a lot of overlap in our product that we sell in Men's Warehouse and what we sell for Moores in Canada. But sometimes they're like, we want versions of it or whatever, and so there's ways now that we can use AI to kind of help with the imagery for that. We're using it in our chat with customer support, some of the more basic implementations today. But where I get really excited is you think about like the Wedding Wingman tool that I was talking about, where everything is a very visual shopping based experience, and how you could actually better harness visuals and visuals at scale to be super personalized, create outfits like a zillion different combination of outfits that work for that particular individual, and just the ability to scale it and take kind of like the algorithms that we all use today, but make the visuals come to life with that, I think is going to be really important for us and anybody who's in kind of apparel or retail like that.
On that note, are you starting to dip your toe into creating experiences within, mixed reality environments or VR environments?
Somebody like 2 years ago was like, how about you buy some real estate in the metaverse and it'll only cost you like this amount? And I was like, I don't know about that. So we haven't done a lot there yet. I think if we do that, it's going to be more through sort of a partnership of some kind than, like a brand like Gucci can go and do that. I don't think that we have that same, I think we realize where our brand is and what makes sense for us. And, but I think that like it is going to continue to be something that, that grows. And I think something that we continue to watch and figure out like what the right credible way to do it is. But we're also trying to be, this is one of the things we learned during the pandemic, is like if you go after every shiny object right out of the gate, like it's not that productive for your budget. And so I think like we try things out, test things, see where we get some traction, and then scale it. So I think we'll take that same approach for the metaverse.
I think that makes sense. It's good to. Tell me, what are some of the challenges that you see now today? I mean, you've done quite a remarkable job of really, developing the brand to the way that you have really in the last few years. I mean, bringing, what could have been potentially an extinct brand, really, during considering the circumstances, and to what it is today, and the relevance, that it has today for consumers. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is like anytime you try to, shift or expand your brand from the way people like very consistently and commonly think about you, like that, there's risk there, right? And so I think like we've got to always drive this balance of like, we always want to be seen as the go-to place for those most important moments, the weddings, the proms, like that kind of thing. We don't want to lose that while we go after the everyday moments or, the sort of the slightly stepped up moments. And so it's, like I worked at eBay for a long time, and we learned a lot about like trying to be everything to everyone is really challenging. And so you're really better a lot of the time like being very focused on here's what we're known for, here's what we're really strong for, like about, and kind of double down on that. And I think that's the key for how we expand into sort of more of the everyday moments as well, is like it still goes back to like what we're really known for is our expertise in helping you look great for the moments that matter in your life. Mm-hmm. And whether that moment's a wedding or a date night or a presentation, like, come to us and we will help you look and feel great. So I think like as long as we stay true to that and we don't get distracted by some of the other things, then I think we'll be okay.
I mean, yeah, and I can imagine, essentially that it also has these big moments being really an important partner, in men's lives during these really important moments, also plays, a halo effect really in, the other parts of the business, right? I mean, you don't need to necessarily, put them first and center because, you can't, every day is fantastic, right? But those important moments, they come attached with so much emotion, right? So much excitement, and expectation and happiness that that can really kind of seep into the other some of the other things you're looking to do to become an everyday brand. Yep. Yeah. So no, that's really it's exciting. You're doing some good things. I don't know where we are with time. Let me see here. I see. So we have about 5 minutes. Perfect. And if it's okay with you, I'd love to open it up to the floor and ask some questions.
Hi, Carolyn. Thanks for sharing your insights today. I'm Rachel Polish with Quantcast, and you mentioned something about the conversion piece that was really interesting to me. You mentioned that you're not seeing online conversions, your online team is not seeing that benefit, but are you tying it to foot traffic at the same time? How are you looking at like that continuum?
Yeah, and to be clear, I mean, we're definitely seeing, strength on our website too, but I think like relative to the traffic that we drive, it's very clear that a lot of our customers are coming to our site and then moving on to buy in the store. So we tap into a few different kind of identity resolution capabilities to allow us to, know that if we've sent you media on this, through these particular channels, and then you end up transacting in our store, we have tried to find ways to kind of tie that all back together. A lot of it's relative, and directional, and sort of looking at comparative, over time or whatever. But it does give us a better line of sight into kind of the impact of our digital channels and our offline channels, and kind of what that's driving to the site as well as to the stores.
Hi, my name is Vernetra from Headspace. I'm really excited to kind of learn more around your audience segmentation. So, we know it to be men's warehouse, but we also know that a lot of women are making the decisions about what their men are wearing for these special moments. I'd love to learn a little bit more about how you target and speak to the women in their lives, and also we talk about occasions, but kind of diversity of occasions and how we're kind of looking at diversity when it comes to not just weddings, but other special events in people's lives.
So first on targeting, so yeah, we've done a few different things with targeting. Like one is the way we've segmented the menswear market largely goes into more psychographics and attitudes and that kind of thing. And our core segment that is most addressable for us is the fairly large segment of guys who kind of know they want to look good but have no idea how to go about doing it. And it's actually fascinating. You'd see in our store, like someone will walk in sometimes and they walk in the door and they stop and they're like, looking around, like, what do I do now? And that's exactly the kind of person that we help best, because like that's what our experts are there for, right? And they talk to them, understand what they're looking for, and how to help them out. So so that's sort of how we've segmented. But women is also a segment that we've identified that we definitely play a role, as you say, in the purchase decision. For sure with weddings. So in fact, a lot of our wedding related marketing starts with the bride. So we have partnerships with The Knot. We do a ton of stuff with brides online, and we do stuff with registry partners. And then we even just target media to them. And a lot of like the campaign that we ran last year and the year before around Love the Way You Look, like actually centered on, the couple and those moments together. In fact, our spot opened with a proposal scene, which is like totally for the bride, right? Like that's what she connects to. So we know that she's usually the one that's directing the groom and his groomsmen to say, you guys got to go to Men's Warehouse, go figure out what you're wearing. Like this is the color, So she plays a critical role. But even outside of weddings, I would say 60 to 70% of our customers come in to our stores with a partner, and so there's a role that she's playing anyways, and they come out of the dressing room to show her what it looks like and all that. So we know that's a really important part. So we balance the way we target our media to some extent. We've actually found that the more broad we target, the more productive the media is as well, as we do rely a lot on the algorithms and the machines, that the experts with our tech partners that actually can drive better targeting for us than what we could do on our own, and it's cheaper. And so with that, we know we're capturing the bride as well. So it's just about like trying to balance that message. I think at different times of year, as it gets closer to things like Father's Day and holiday, we actually go out and more overtly target women as well for those gifting moments. So we just sort of find the right places to connect with her, knowing that the role she plays in the whole purchase cycle. And then, sorry, your second question on diversity, and were you speaking about like different types of events, or like just generally diversity and representation? Yeah, and we've been very deliberate in expanding that. Like there was a time in the history of the company where that was actually shied away from. And since I've come on, and also our chief brand officer who works with me, we've been very overt about like making sure that we're well representing in our entire customer base. So almost every wedding spot features a same-sex couple. Our prom spots, like, we know for Gen Z in particular, like representation is critical, that they need to feel like, they're there and part of our communication. We do a really great job, I think, in terms of how we cast and make sure that just like every customer has a place in our advertising. And I would say, too, as a company, as a value, one of our 5 values is everyone is welcome. And that tries all the way down to the stores. We have a really diverse consultant force as well. Like of our teams in our stores are very diverse, and I think that helps a lot, too, in making sure that everybody who does walk through our door feels like they're welcome there. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you. Thank you, Carolyn.